on, guys? Welcome to a little rapid edition of Get the Puck Out. I'm your host, Chris Mancuso. That's Jack Gotzel. Now, Darren Dreger kind of put what we were all thinking out into the universe with the hiring for the Pittsburgh Penguins of Ron Hextall as the general manager. You get Brian Burke as the head of hockey operations. He leaves his comfortable gig at Sportsnet. Now, Jack, we're sitting here. The Pittsburgh Penguins don't look like a great team, look like a team that could miss the playoffs this year. Now, if they miss the playoffs, they're going to have to entertain the idea of maybe trading Sidney Crosby. I don't see how you put the guy through a rebuild. You look at it, Malkin, Letang entering the last years of the deal. Jack, could you see Sidney Crosby being on the move?
Oh, I don't see Sidney Crosby being on the move just yet. I think he's still got 4 years left after this year on his deal. However, Letang and Malkin, they better be on like high alert because I think one of those guys is moving at least this trade deadline. And I think we could see them both be moved this offseason as they go into the last years of their contracts.
Wow. So that again makes my point, though. If it's not Crosby, but it's Malkin and Letang, is that not the start of a full-fledged rebuild? This is a team that hasn't had a first-round pick since Christ was a Cowboy. Now, I understand. Listen, it's Sidney Crosby. The decision's going to have to come with him. But if they miss the playoffs this year and Letang moves and Malkin moves, they're in a rebuild. Are they not?
I think they're going into a rebuild no matter what, because if they don't make a deep run in this playoffs, either say they get in and they get bounced in the first round, I think they're going towards the rebuild anyway. I think no matter what happens here, they're going to have to rebuild because of the situation that Jim Rutherford put them in. He traded away all their prospects. He traded picks for just taking shot after shot after shot at the Stanley Cup. Last year, that was dumb to go full-fledged and try to win the Stanley Cup last year. They weren't close.
No, they had no business doing that. You see it again this offseason. They trade a first-round pick for Kasperi Kapanen to the Maple Leafs. Just terrible asset management there. But I got to tell you, Jack, Brian Burke is a showman in a sense. He still loves reminiscing about drafting the Sedin twins. He loves all that stuff. Do you think maybe if anybody's going to be the guy to trade Sidney Crosby, it could be the duo of Brian Burke and Ron Hextall? They're both bold guys. Bold.
I could see them doing it, but I don't think they're gonna have the power to just trade Sidney Crosby. He went into Pittsburgh. He saved that franchise. I think ultimately they owe him the respect. That organization owes Crosby the respect. It's gonna be his decision. If he wants to sit there through a rebuild, they can't move him because that's just such an awful look for that franchise. It's gonna be Crosby's decision. If he's okay with sitting through a rebuild, that's how it's going to be. And I could see him sitting through a rebuild and just wanting to retire a Penguin. He won back-to-back Stanley Cup there. He's just a historic Cup champion, right? He's an icon in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he is a Pittsburgh. He's going
to go down with the greats. So, I mean, it's going to be his option. If he's okay with sitting through a rebuild, then he'll sit through the rebuild. If he says, you got to move me, I'm not sitting through a rebuild, then they have to trade him. Crosby's his own GM.
Say that happens. Crosby says, I don't want to go through a rebuild, Jack. My snap team, right off the hop, Western Conference, young powerhouse, tons of assets to move, could move a ton of draft picks as they have a deep prospect pool. The Colorado Avalanche, to me, the bells go off. You think of Ray Bork, you like to say Sidney Crosby would never get traded. Wayne Gretzky got traded. Now I understand Gretzky was more sold than traded, and owners these days don't need the money the same as they did back in the day, but I will tell you, anything can happen. Sidney Crosby on the move, I'm going to have to file it under maybe. You can't say no.
I mean, he's got some ties to Colorado, too. I know you're thinking like, oh, Canadian boy doesn't have Nathan McKinnon, a big tie. They train in the offseason.
Cole Harbor, Nova Scotia. They're Tim Hortons. They act together. You saw them on the Spit and Chicklets podcast doing the Sandbagger Bowl with Biz and Whitney playing some golf. Those two attached at the hip, very close. Would love to see Sidney Crosby end up in Colorado. Not saying it's going to, but you can't say without a shadow of a doubt that he won't be there. Let us know in the comments below if you think Sidney Crosby is going to move, where you think he's going. Hit like, hit subscribe, and let's do the hockey.